You're watching All to Play For, brought to you by Joe and Coral.
Hello and welcome to All to Play For, brought to you by Joe and Coral, with me, Lynsey Hipgrave, and you, Joe Cole, who's gone from centre court at Wimbledon to watching England beat Germany at Wembley. It hasn't been a bad week, has it?
It's been a good week, Lyns. Do you know what? I felt much more comfortable. I'm a football man at Wembley with my people. When I go to Wimbledon, I do feel like
a fish out of water.
Yeah, a little bit like a fish up a tree. Like all the lovely people drinking the champagne and that. But at Wembley, I was there, took my boys down Wembley Way, and they'd been to football, but then, there was all the lads there and the drinks were flying in the air. So I got soaked with beer before I even got in. I thought, yeah, this is me. This is where I'm at.
You're still buzzing.
Yeah, it was amazing. Amazing.
Joining us today, we're delighted to have a former teammate of Joe's and probably the scorer, definitely the scorer of the best overhead kick of all time. It's Trevor Sinclair.
The best two overhead kicks of all time. Because you can't forget, people forget about the one at West Ham as well. I think that was goal.
That was a great goal. He's only saying that because he was involved in the build-up, to be fair.
Is there a better one though, Joe?
I don't think there's a better overhead kick than Trev's.
I don't think there is.
Because the dreadlocks done it for me. Like when he's the celebration when they were flying about, they were just frother.
You look at players now and they score like Pogba's goal, absolute worldie.
I know.
And he's so cool and how'd you do that?
I know.
I just absolutely lost it and just went absolutely wild. So
mind you, Andy Carroll scored not a
that was a
bad
good
one,
goal.
which was a bit of a shock.
I always love to see a left-footed player execute things like that. So for me, you look at that and I think, can't even get my head round executing that. So seeing that was a great goal by Andy Carroll.
Yeah, left footers look better, don't they? They got a better vibe about them, something like that.
How are you anyway? How have you been enjoying the tournament so far?
Wow, it's been amazing, hasn't it? I think it's all to do with the fans, me. We've had players have had to play football so long without fans, and all of a sudden the fans are back in the stadiums. In Baku, you got 60,000 screaming fans. I think the players have just responded to that, and that's why it's been such an exciting tournament. And not only that, the comebacks that we've seen and like the high-scoring games, players are inspired. That's what. Listen, we can't imagine not playing in front of fans because we've never had to do that. So it's great for the boys that they've got through it, this COVID era where they've not been able to play in front of fans, and then they're getting the rewards now and playing in front of like full houses, and it's beautiful to see.
You were saying that about Wembley, weren't you? It's just that release of emotion. Everyone, like Trev says, have been locked up in their houses and now they're drunk on football.
Exactly.
And drunk probably.
And beer as
I can
well.
vouch they were very, very drunk. I was looking after the kids, so I was good. But you're right, Lynsey. People just were so fired up at Wembley. I've never experienced the fan going into it, so excitement. And little things as a player, what inspires you? There was a little moment in the game where I think it was Declan Rice, and as a midfield player, there was a little 3-1 bouncing. I think it might have been on Havertz, and it's one of them he probably was not good. He was never, if he was going to win the ball, he was going to kick it out for a throw-in. It wasn't like something you'd do. A sensible thing to do would have been to stay. But he was just so inspired. He covered 10 yards just to smash Havertz, smash the ball into the crowd. Wembley erupted.
Yeah.
And you could see it lifted the players.
Yeah.
And it was just great to watch. So having home advantage for any team, but for us, as mad as our football fans are, it's been brilliant.
Well, everyone keeps talking about how on earth did Muller miss that chance that would have made it 1-1. But did you see how quick Kyle Walker was and how much ground he covered? I'm sure that was the same, inspired by the fans. And you just think, did he just do enough maybe to put him off?
He must have done. I mean, he's paid. I've said before, when you play him in that position, either right wing back or right centre half or right back, it's almost like if you're a winger playing against him, every time you get the ball, you're thinking, nah, I'll come back in. So you diffuse a lot of what they have coming down the left-hand side. And Goossens has done a great job this season for Germany or this tournament. And for me, didn't really see him. Yeah. Because every time he come across Kyle Walker, he's just thinking, what's the point in trying to run him? Because he just bullies people, doesn't he?
Kyle Walker, for me, is probably one of the most underrated players in the country. You look at his last 2 years where he's been at, he don't make mistakes. He's
so reliable.
All of his games, he's put it all together. And I've played against Kyle, and you're right. I was never quick, but I always would try and, I could always skip past someone.
You've got to threaten it, haven't you, sometimes?
And you've got to threaten it. It's pointless even threatening it. And one point we played against him when I was coming to the end of my career.
Oh dear.
And I was like, right, he almost I could tell he just treated me like Ian Bill. Like I was just
disrespect.
Dude, like he gone, go on. No, when you got, I thought, he's giving me a hard hit. And this was early on in the game, and I've gone, right, let me go. Oh, and he just took it off.
Yeah.
Right, then you have to be clever with players,
isn't it? Sweet.
But there was always. But what I'm saying is, you could play against him, and you might get in at the far post, or you might do something where he switched off. But he's put it all together, and that's credit to him as well.
And the coaches, I think.
And the
Pep
coaches.
obviously worked.
Yeah.
You know, not letting the attacker see his number, just that opening his shoulder up so he knows what's around.
Yeah.
No surprises. Yeah, he's top player.
Been brilliant.
To be fair, the first game I thought he was quite poor in possession. What he brings defensively, you know, sometimes you can accept that. Just give it simple. Give it to players that are, you know, more astute on the ball, got more creativity. You just give it simple, but make sure you just do your job. And he's in the team to defend, and he's superb at it.
We'll talk more about England in just a minute, but let's talk about just the last 16 as a whole, first of all, because there's been some cracking games, haven't there? I mean, Monday was possibly the best day of international football I think I've ever watched.
Well, I did the Croatia-Spain game, and the lads were in the studio waiting to do the game after, and I thought, unlucky. We've just had the game of the tournament. 3-3, inspirational comeback by the Croatians, last 10 minutes of that game. And then extra time, and obviously Spain with their possession-based football, stuck to their principles, absolutely bossed it in extra time. And I thought, what an absolutely brilliant game it was, and great for the tournament. And then I thought the game after was not going to live up to that. And then everything. So yeah, amazing day of football. And the tournament's been superb.
And you said, Joel, that if France were going to lose this tournament, it was going to be down to them maybe imploding off the pitch, which seems to be exactly what's happened. We've got all these stories coming out about Rabiot's mum in the crowd, having a pop at Mbappe's dad, saying he's arrogant, and Pogba's mum.
Yeah.
It's all gone off.
Yeah, listen, like we called it. It was you to get the little. Every now and then a French team emerges, and it will start at the start of the tournament. There'll be something. There's no, you know, without trying to generalise, because when I played in France, you get to understand the culture and that. There's no backward step. Like, you know, when there's something that's going wrong, it festers. There's like, you know, I think English players, British players, if you have a problem, you sort it out and it's done. But
have a tear up, sort it out. Done.
Yeah. But it's done. But I think in them, and I think it was just there, it was rolling on. And I think they had the exact opposite problem, like mentally and emotionally, to what England players would have experienced against Germany, because the only thing that stopped French, because they're the best squad in the tournament, would be the fact complacency and, like, you know, not coming together. And the English players are the opposite. English players are together. It would be the fear that would get England, which happened. But the German players the French players were just so complacent, bordering on arrogance.
They're gone though. Au revoir.
Yeah.
Let's get on to Tuesday. Let's talk Tuesday. What a night that was. Where did you watch it?
I was at a fan park at the Oval. Funnily enough, I can't remember too much about it. It was a boozy one. No, it was good. It was
drunk on football, Trev.
It was a fantastic performance, I thought. And like, people keep on saying, we're a little bit tentative, and I thought we were tentative in the first 10, 15 minutes. I thought we didn't quite grasp the new formation with the three. But I think once we made a few little adjustments, I thought the boys then looked confident. And you said, like we were talking earlier, and you said there was one situation where Saka went and he won a foul, and I think that got some, and that gave us the belief then that we could go on and do something in this game. And I thought the boys played superbly well. I thought they looked the better team, technically, tactically. I thought the spirit was there. I thought Gareth made the right changes at the right times. Obviously, Grealish coming on. I was absolutely delighted for Raheem again. You know, he took a lot of stick before this tournament. Shouldn't be in the squad, should never be starting. He's been brilliant. You know, and we speak about world-class players. And for me, I'll stick to my guns. I do feel he's a world-class player. But big players turn up at the big tournaments. And although he's had a disappointing season, to some respects, to the standards that he's set at Manchester City, that's probably gone in our favour for England, because he's not played as much. He looks fresh, he looks hungry. And like, he was brought up, 500 yards from the stadium. What a story that is. What a story that is.
And he was the scapegoat, really, wasn't he, that Iceland defeat? And I think resilience was the word that Gareth Southgate used when he was talking about him. He's bounced back from so much adversity off the pitch as well, and coming under so much pressure. And like you say, off the back of not the best season, to come and perform like that for his national side is immense. Yeah,
I think he has been immense. I mean, you know, you look at his stature, you look at, you know, the difficult times he's been through in his life and his career already. He's 26. You know, he's already dealt with everything.
Yeah.
But when you hear managers talk about him, when you hear coaches who've worked with him from when he was 16 all the way through now, resilience is the word that comes up. If he has a disappointing game, he has a bit of a bad spell, he comes in and works hard every day. And it's a great lesson to any player, because you can't play well all the time. No one does. You know, we've had our careers, we've had loads of bad games. Yeah. But if you can't deal with that and then look at the mirror and be honest and say, listen, I'm going to push myself down, I'm going to get to the training ground early, do a little bit extra and work through this. That's the only way through it. And if you've got that kind of fundamentals about you, about your character, you'll do well.
There's certain players where that will just drive them on even more.
He's right. Raheem does not get enough credit. We all know what a great player he is, but for his sort of leadership and because I remember him as a young lad at Liverpool, Trev, right? And he was out there every day practicing. You know, he's one of them lads. Like, there's no secret to football. And all of the great players who I've seen, whether I've seen them, I've come through with them, like Frank, Michael, a lot of them, Jermaine. You know, ones
Rio,
like Rio, obviously, like, or players that I've seen develop. Like I was with Raheem at Liverpool, Jack Grealish at Villa. Madison.
You've been about, haven't you?
Yeah, mate. Listen, the last 5 years I was a journeyman, believe me. But like, so I was lucky because I got to see these young players much. And the one thing in common that they've all got is they got this pig-headed mind where you see them on a training field and they practice and practice and practice.
Like a work
and Raheem's
ethic.
like that. And I think people maybe don't understand that about Raheem, the mental toughness. He was out there because he couldn't really. He didn't put it all together at Liverpool, did he?
No.
He continually getting better. He will still get better as well. He's only 26.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I read a thing this morning actually on the train coming in, and it was someone who knew him when he was younger and said when he was like 9 years old, he was playing in games with 16-year-olds and he was the standout player in the games.
But again, comfortably uncomfortable. If you be in them uncomfortable positions when you're young and get through it, that holds you in great stead as you get older.
And another clean sheet as well for Pickford and that defence. How much does that matter and how much confidence does that give you in tournament football, the fact that we haven't conceded?
I think it's huge. You know, I mean, we played in the Harry Redknapp side, in that what is it, 97, 98, all the way through until we left. And we'd win games 5-3. You know, and sometimes we'd lose a game and concede a lot of goals. But when you're not conceding, and you know, I've been quite critical of Pickford in his season at Everton, but I have to take it all back because I thought he's concentrated. He looks calmer. Yeah. He's done everything good with his feet. His distribution, his concentration's been superb, and he's pulled off a couple of fine saves as well. So, you know, great back 4 or 3 in front of him. I think it was quite harsh on Mings being dropped because he'd not really put a foot wrong, and you know, for that balance with his left foot opening the pitch up, and I think he had a lot of positives, but he needed Harry Maguire. He's obviously, you know, got a lot of experience. He's one of the leaders in that side, and he's put him in, and it's paid off. And they look really strong defensively, and the 2 in front of them. You know, the 2 holding midfielders. I think fans have complained like we need to get on the front foot. Just keep a clean sheet, go into the game. We've always got players that we can bring off the bench who can excite and create and score. So, really pleased for Gareth.
It's a haircut, isn't it? All he needed was a Backstreet Boys hairdo and he's flying.
Listen, I'm the same as Trevor. We in the job we do, because, you know, I'm a football man. I love football, I love footballers. So when you sometimes have to be critical of players, it's really hard. Like, and Jordan, I'm the same as Trevor. I've criticised him this year, but he's put it all together. He's changed. I mean, he's worked with a sports psychologist. His body language is calming. He's making big saves, and we all knew he had talent. And he's just maturing, so that's so important. But the Barnet, like, I'm still not a fan. I don't know. He must have to get the old straighteners on it or something.
Don't.
You know, he looks. Jack Grealish pulls it off.
Yeah.
But
Well, the first game I watched, someone
Pickford.
near me said, "Who's that in goal, Princess Diana?"
Oh dear.
he's gone for the. Lynch drops these every now and then. Like she sat there and told Ali McCoist, right, that Scotland were on par with Panama.
That didn't turn out well for me though, did it?
No.
It really didn't. I didn't know it was going to come back and bite me.
But just on what Joe was saying there about, you know, obviously we've had our careers and now we're in punditry and we're talking about players. And I remember once there was a situation where Michael Richards played poorly for Villa. Ian Wright had given loads of grief. Micah got in touch with me and said, "Have a word with you, mate. You know, he's digging me out on the telly, blah, blah, blah." So I thought, I feel a bit uncomfortable here. So I spoke to Wright and I said, "Right, listen," Micah said, like, calm down a little bit and all that. And Wright, his face changed.
Really?
And he went, "Trev, listen, let me tell you one thing. If you're coming into this industry, if you're not going to be honest and frank about things and you're going to try and look after your mates and all this, you can't do that. Because you'll mug yourself off anyway. And people won't respect your opinion. And he said, let this be a lesson for you. Make sure you be honest. And even if it is, there's a way to do it. You can like say he's made a mistake without absolutely burying him. And for me, that was a great learning point for me. And I went back to Michael and said, listen, defend better. Simple as, you know what I mean? But just on the back of that, we've got responsibility. You know, the way we talk about players, you know, we can
but you
be
know what it's like to be there, so it must be hard.
But it's more now. It's more. So I think we've got a real responsibility to make sure that if you are criticising players, criticise them in the right way and say, like, listen, he'll be disappointed with that when he looks at it. You know, it's not, he doesn't need me telling him, but he has made a mistake there.
What you mean is don't dig people out because of their hairdos.
No.
He can do something about his barnet. Like, he might listen to the podcast and go, right, Lynsey thinks I look like Princess Di, I'm going to turn it on.
Let's talk Harry Kane a bit as well, because he's off the mark, Trev. Do you think he's going to go on a run now?
I think he will, you know. I mean, it was a really good finish because it wasn't a perfect ball from Jack for him. No. But he was a little bit in front of the ball. He had to dip his head and get good contact on it, hit it into the ground. Good header. I was delighted for him because, again, you know, I'm probably one of the pundits that feels he's not brought much to the tournament until now. You know, you can see him trying. He looks like he's had a long season. You know, I was looking at some players that we potentially could play against in the next games, and I'm looking at the stats, or I'm looking at stats of players that are been really good in this tournament. They've played 20 league games.
Yeah.
He's played, what's he played?
Massive,
60 games.
Massive, mate. It's massive.
You know, he's played a lot of football, so not just physically, but mentally.
Yeah.
It's difficult, but I was really pleased for him. I think you could tell, forget about, the fans' reaction was amazing. They were buzzing for him, but look at his teammates. They've been crying out for him to score, you know, because they can see the pressure that he's under. He's the talisman, you know. He's the one who's going to take us to this glory if we're going to get there. So we need to get on side. We need to stay behind him. But I was one, you know, calling for maybe Dominic Calvert-Lewin with his pace, with his youth, with his ability in the air. Maybe it was an time for an opportunity for him. But Gareth stayed loyal, which loyal team management is quite difficult because it can go against you as well. But he stayed loyal, and lo and behold, that's what he does. He scores goals, and I was absolutely delighted for him.
Can he go on to win the Golden Boot?
Do you know what? Like, if we didn't have the path we'd got, I fancy us to beat the Ukraine and beat the Ukraine well. So if he nicks a brace or a hat-trick, which you can't... Look, Harry Kane stepping on the football pitch, if he gets chances, he's going to score. So I wouldn't rule it out, and I know you've got the odds in front of you somewhere. No?
He tends to go on runs as well, though, doesn't he? When he has... That's how it's always worked. And when you look back, you'll have... If he has a drought, then he'll go on like a flurry of goals. So Sterling is 7-1 with Coral to be player of the tournament. And if you think Kane's goal against Germany is going to set him off on a goal-scoring spree, you can back him at 25-1 to be the tournament's top scorer.
That's juicy.
Like
That'll suck a few people in that. If he gets a brace, who's the top scorer now? Ronaldo with 5.
He's gone.
Lukaku must be up there as well.
I can see them going as well.
Patrick Schick as well. And then they're still in it. Czech Republic, they've got Denmark
they're
next.
going to get parked up.
I'm not sure.
No?
I've done one of their games. They're a good team, resilient at the back, tough, bit horrible, leave a foot in.
Set pieces.
Yeah,
set pieces.
Massive, huge physical side.
Souček's just one of them. He'll head a fridge freezer, wouldn't he?
Yeah, runs about like blue ass fly.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got some good players, and like a lot of the Eastern European teams for me, they're men. Do you know what I mean? They're not like they're not going to go missing.
Yeah. So
for me, you know, tournament nerves, expectancy. Listen, Denmark are going to be favourites, especially with what they've been through. Everyone likes to see them doing well.
Yeah.
What happened to Christian Eriksen, but for me, I wouldn't count out the Czech Republic.
Okay.
Yeah, good team, and obviously, you know, Souček, Soufel.
Yeah.
Got some good players who've got experience in the Premier League as well.
You're watching All to Play For, brought to you by Joe and Coral.
Tuesday. This is why you love international football. Thursday. The best ever goalless draw. Saturday. These guys might be underdogs, but you wouldn't miss this match. Every match day matters. So every time you collect 3 match day stamps, you get a £5 free bet. Match day rewards from Coral.
Trev, Joel's already touched on it. It does feel like there's something different about this group of England players, the togetherness, doesn't it? How different is that to the England squads you were involved with?
Yeah, it's huge. Obviously, similar to Joe, because when Joe first got into the England squad, we was at West Ham where it was quite unusual, but we had 3 players in the squad, himself, Joe and J-Mo. So we was with the also players where they weren't at United, Chelsea, Liverpool, because there definitely was a clique.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't think it was in a bad way. I just think it didn't get managed well, because it was like tables of 8. So you'd have like 7 or 8 United players, 6 maybe Liverpool players, 5 Chelsea players, and then there was another table where us lots, you know, went for our dinner.
The in-betweeners.
Yeah, exactly. So I think Gareth's done really well, because Gareth was in that group. So Gareth was sat with us. I sat a lot of the time with Gareth. We used to sit on the coach together to training, because we used to have to go through that journey for the World Cup, didn't we? Where there's this warship in the sea on this island where we stayed at this hotel. And when we'd go down to the training ground, which was like 5 miles down the beach road, the warship would follow us up on the sea, park up, just in case, because obviously, you know, there was a risk. And we had David Beckham in the side, so the insurance must have been expensive. And then when we finished training, we'd get the bus back to the hotel, and the warship would follow us up on the sea. So it was kind of protecting us, ready to go. I mean, it was crazy. It was like people in the bushes, all like, you know, camoed up and that, with guns and that, just ready for anything. So, but talking about the cliques, I think Gareth's done brilliant, because from his experience, he's looked at it and thought, well, that was a bit uncomfortable. I didn't like that part of the England setup, and I think it affected the spirit. So he's changed it. So it's all now big tables, everyone can get on the table. And I think that just improves the spirit for the players.
You can see it on the pitch. You can see it afterwards with the celebrations and stuff as well. It doesn't matter what teams they're playing for.
Exactly.
It was nice at the end with Kane and Sterling. You can see both look for each other at the end of the game.
Amazing. And not only that, you know, you look at the way that the team is and the England squad is with the media. You know, it's been spoken about before, but again, that was a problem prior to Gareth taking over. Always that relationship between the media, love-hate, and the players and the squad. And I think that's changed now. And the fact that they've got a lot more interaction with the media appreciate that. And I think they've dealt with it a lot better. And they're not as criticising of the England team as they once were.
What was Sven like as a manager at the World Cup?
Great. I enjoyed his company. Yeah, he was a gentleman. He didn't do a lot of the coaching. He left that to Steve McLaren. But obviously, he told Steve exactly what he wanted Steve to relay to the players. He was organised. Probably lacked a bit of passion. Obviously, it's not his home nation. So I think at times, I feel we could have done with a rocket. You know, someone... And that's not Steve's job. So maybe a third coach who had a little bit about him, a little bit of fear factor that could get into the lads. But in general, Sven was a gentleman, and you know, I'll always be very grateful for him giving me my opportunity to get in the England squad and obviously go on playing the World Cup. But yeah, he was a gentleman, Sven.
What about the downtime in between matches? Did he
boring? It was boring, honestly.
Did he socialise with you though?
Not
get
really.
Involved or not?
Not really. No, it was tough, wasn't it? Like we was almost like everyone went back to the room and like watching box sets. And yeah, again, you know, Gareth was looked back at these experiences that he's had as a player, and he's thought, how can we improve that for the modern player today? And you can see that they've got. I've seen him do head tennis in a pool today, and you know, just silly thing to take up the time, because that's the most difficult thing. You're away from your families, you're away from your friends, you're away from normal things.
You had the kids when you was playing for English. My experience is different because I was younger. I did have my kids. Ruby was born just literally she was a baby with my last game. So my experience was different. Trev was obviously missing his family and that. And yeah, you're right. I didn't really see. I was like, finished training, and I was either in the games room or the massage room. I never went to my room, but like that's just. So I've sort of just floated around, potted around, like basically like
social butterfly. It was just pretty much you anyway.
Yeah, I was like, just I was doing. I remember playing Cluedo. I loved it. For a week. I had a week on Cluedo. I got obsessed with Cluedo, playing it with the masseurs, and the computer games and like but I just couldn't sit still anyway. But for the lads who probably had kids and
more experience,
more experience, it was hard. It was.
They've got all sorts now. We were talking about the other day off the pitch. They had Ed Sheeran in. They've got like a Formula One simulator.
Because one thing that I found, and it was so evident to me, and it'd be interesting to speak to Gareth about this and what his experiences was. But we went to Dubai first. We had 10 days in Dubai, and then we went to South Korea, and then we went to Japan. By the time this tournament starts, we're like 3.5 weeks into a trip away from our families.
Yeah.
Because of my situation, I was like the 24th man out of a 23-man squad. I asked Adam Crozier and Sven if I could go home and train at Chad Relief. I felt a little bit awkward, like a grim reaper waiting for someone to get injured, I didn't like that feeling, and it was affecting me a little bit, like my mental well-being. So I said, I didn't say that because obviously that wasn't the woke word at the time, but I just said I don't feel right. So can I go back and train at Chad Relief? Anyway, I went back, trained a couple of days. By the time I'd got myself. I probably didn't even train because by the time I got to London, Danny Murphy had become injured and he was out the tournament, and I'd been called back into the 23. So, but when I went home, just 2 days, see my wife, see my kid, familiar scenery, and then went back, I was buzzing, and I walked into like the environment, and everyone looked flat. They looked tired. They look fatigued.
Just that short time with your family.
Yeah, just like so maybe that's something that we should look at and think, because the boys are sensible now. They're not like what we used to be like the era before us, where they'd go, give them a half a foot and they'd take a mile. Do you know what I mean? And they'd be out in the dentist chair and all that. So I think there's something in there where you could just release that pressure from around the family environment again, just for a couple of days, just to freshen them up for the tournament as it gets deeper into the tournament.
And Gareth's made some brave decisions with his lineups as well, especially leaving Grealish out when there's been a lot of pressure on him to play him, and then going with 7 defensive players against Germany. What have you made of his tactics so far?
Well, you can't fault them because they've not conceded. They've won every game apart from the Scotland game, and they've looked strong. They've not looked like they've got many weaknesses. I think as the tournament goes on, it'll change again. I think it was 19 games that he's not played the same side. I think the big call for me was Phillips initially in the tournament, and the performance that he put in was outstanding. Saka getting the opportunity on the right hand side as well. I thought that was a big call because he's a young player, 19, but every time he's played for England, he's done well. He was a little bit quieter in the last game he played, but still, he played his part, and it was a really excellent win against Germany. I think his tactics and the rotation of his squad has been spot on. That's his privilege because one, he's in the job. That's his job to pick that side, and 2, he sees the boys every day. We don't see that. Like we see 10 minutes of training, and that's the important stuff. That's just
that's the bit
for the
they're
media.
allowing you to see.
So he sees the performance of the players. He sees the mentality. He sees the spirit and the confidence going through certain players that we might not see. And even though there's a lot of people saying, "Oh, Jack's got to play." Jack played great when he came on, and I'm sure Jack feels valued and like a really valued member of that squad, that he can affect it and create in later on in the game. He might start the next game, we don't know. But Gareth's been brilliant, and actually looking at the footage, there's a couple of things that happened in that game. The footage for the second goal when Harry scored, I mean, I felt proud of him, Gareth. Yeah. Where he reacted, he looked a little bit vulnerable and relieved. And I think the fans and the nation will see that. And then the other thing was when Raheem scored, obviously, but when he made the mistake for the Thomas Muller chance, and then
his hands on his head. He
went to the ground, and he was on his knees, and Trippier came over and picked him up and said, "Come on." I think that's what we want to see. That's what we're all about.
Well, Sterling in that moment was every single England fan in the country.
We've been there. I remember when you made a mistake for a goal when we played at Ellen Road. And I put my arm around you afterwards and said, "Listen, young players, learn from it." And other people, which we won't name because they're colleagues of ours, but people dug job out, and I was fuming. And it's took me a long time to forgive that because young players, when they get slaughtered like that off teammates and senior players, it's unforgivable. So I remember that. I remember Joe had a tough time dealing with that. But you've got to be careful with what you do with players. But seeing Trippier there with his experience, and listen, Trippier's had a kind of a, was it Burnley? Yeah. Then he was at Spurs, and then I mean he's had a brilliant career. And to see him then, picking up Raheem.
He was good senior player.
Everyone keeps talking about the inexperience in the squad because of how many talented young players we've got, but we have got some great experience in there as well, haven't we?
We've got a lovely blend. We've got a lovely, he's just won the league in playing for Diego Simeone, Trippier. You've got the lads who've won the Champions League now. You've got the Man City boys who know what it's about winning. They've all had experience tournaments. So we're in a sort of a window now. The next 2-3 tournaments where we've got youth. We're still one of the youngest teams in the tournament. Plus the experience, and it's growing. They're growing with every game they play, every title they win. So we're in this little window now where it's going to happen. If it doesn't happen this one, it'll happen the next one, the one after.
But it's going to happen here because Pep's managing in this country. So when Pep manages in a country, they win.
Yeah, true.
Facts.
Yeah, listen, he's brought the standard up of coaching and style of play. Like one man's will to change. You hear things about him when we're digressing, we've gone off on a tangent here, but like when he started playing with like the fullbacks coming into midfield, and now that's like, I'm looking at England, and England players are doing that now. Kyle Walker's driving through, having one man, Pep. Yeah,
Well,
maybe we should give him a medal when we win it as well.
It's like we've got that sort of City connection on the right-hand side with Stones and Walker, and then we've got Man United on the other side now with Maguire.
But that's
and Shaw.
chemistry. I mean, you'll know this more than me, and the kids who play FIFA will know this. Chemistry is a huge part of successful teams in FIFA.
Yeah.
But actually, it's important in proper teams in real life, and he's got them connections.
Yeah, it's important.
So it's Ukraine, Saturday in the quarterfinal. How are you feeling about it?
Feeling good. I mean, Yarmolenko, obviously, me and Joe know him well for playing for West Ham. He's been superb. They're a decent team, but honestly, I can't see there being a problem. They can't run us in behind. They've not got the pace to do that. I think we'll press the life out of them high up the pitch. And I think we'll probably have too much technical ability for them. Obviously, it's away from home. It's in Rome. We're not going to have the support. I think there's a lot of support for them there for the Ukraine. So that'll be different. But in general, I just think we're on this wave. The only thing, again, we touched on it before with the French complacency, but I don't think Gareth will allow that to happen. So yeah, really excited for that one. Hopefully they can get the job done and then come back to Wembley for the semi-finals.
So I mean, they're big underdogs, aren't they? But it's the furthest they've ever been in a major tournament. But Shevchenko knows the English league, and how do we make sure?
Did you play with him?
Yeah. Shev, great guy. Yeah, I mean, another thing with Shev, I would say, when he came to Chelsea, it was full of excitement, 30 million.
Had one, didn't he?
He didn't quite work for him yet. You know, he had a problem with his hip. He was 29, which, you know, so I would say my injury started when I was 29, and I went down that. So, but I remember in training after 6 months, he just wasn't happening. He was trying. It's lovely for trying hardest, and do you know what you would say? But he never give up. His mindset. He never threw the towel. He never blamed anyone else. He just dug it, and it just didn't work for him at Chelsea. But you could tell in flashes the talent was there, and I'm not surprised he's become a leader.
Really?
I'm not surprised. No, he had that tough. Talk about the Eastern Europeans and that. He had that tough mindset, and I think he's an asset for Ukraine. I think he'll go on to be a good manager one day. One day, maybe I think he'll manage Chelsea.
Right.
I do, because I think his relationship with the owner
and the respect that he never threw the towel in.
Yeah,
He's already talked about going into club football now.
He's very well respected at Chelsea. I know the fans like him as well, because he never give up.
Yeah.
He built into what we do.
All fans are like, you know, we had times at West Ham, people say, oh God, how'd you play for West Ham? West Ham fans don't care. As long as you put 100% in and run around and tackle and, you know, when you're having a bad time, they'll have you all day long. But I think that goes around the world. That's what fans are like. If you keep on going, even though you're having a bad game or struggling, they'll back you. Yeah.
What changes do you think Gareth will make, and what changes do you think he should make going into that game, given that Trippier's got a bit of a knock, I think. You've got Rice, Maguire, Foden and Phillips all one yellow card away from missing that potential semi-final.
Well, I think for the harmony and the spirit of the squad, I think players should be given an opportunity. I think they should change quite a few. I think once you get to the knockouts, like the quarterfinals, the semi-finals, should I say, I don't think the bookings count then, do they?
No.
Right, so I think
this is the game.
Especially the boys that are injured or carrying something, and the boys that have got a yellow card. It's not like you're weakening the side.
No.
They've got a very good argument that they should be playing anyway, the players that are going to come in. So I think he'll make changes. I think that's a sensible thing to do. You've always got them there on the bench. You can make 5 substitutions to come and affect the game if things aren't working out. But I think if he's done, which I presume he has, done his job properly, kept their spirits up, kept their fitness, because sometimes, I mean, I only went to one tournament and I played in it. You didn't play so much, did you, Joe? So
I've experienced the whole thing, playing, not playing.
Yeah, so the one where you're not playing, for me, even the first game when we played against Sweden, I just thought, like, I'm eating the same as the lads that are playing the game, but I'm not training enough. So me and Kieran Dyer, day before the Argentina game, I thought, I'm not going to play. I'm lucky to be here. You know, I'm 24th man out of a 23 man. All of a sudden, I'm 23 man. I'm probably just going to enjoy the experience. So we got to the state, the day before, I'm thinking, I feel like put a few pounds on here. So me and Kieran Dyer went for a game of tennis. So we're playing tennis. I'm smashing him all over the court. And I heard this, it was Steve McLaren. He's like, what the hell are you two doing? And I'm like, what? I'm smashing him. Like, and he's like, no, you might be involved tomorrow. I'm like, really? Come on, you're talking to me now. I'm not a kid. Yeah. Anyway, we stopped the game. And funnily enough, the next game, Owen Hargreaves got injured 15 minutes in. I played the rest of the game against Argentina and we won that game. And that was me then back into the team and playing for the rest of the World Cup. But yeah, it's hard for the players. Like, obviously, Joe said he's experienced not playing, but then obviously playing all the games as well. Gareth has got to have done his job properly by keeping the lads fit. And that might take running sessions. It might take the sessions that you do with the team that's played and the sessions that you do with the team that's not played, like hard, like small-sided games where it's quite a big pitch, quite small numbers, so the boys have to put the graft in because they need to keep their fitness levels up so that when they are brought into the fold, which I think they will be against Ukraine, they're hitting the ground running fully fit.
Yes.
Do you think he'll change a winning team?
I think he'll change. I think he'll change. And I think I think he'll go with his instinct. I think he'll go back to a back four. I think if Trippier's got a knock, I think it makes his mind up easier. If he takes Trippier out and he puts Grealish in, goes to the back four, plays Jack off the left, Saka off the right, or on Sterling, because what he done in the Czech game. So Sterling and Jack were sort of interchangeable. And was it Foden? It might be. There was lovely movement anyway. And I think he'll go back to the 4-2-3-1. Possibly, depending on bookings or where he might put Mount, or how confident he is, he might put Mount in the 2.
How do you think that period of...
so Phillips don't get booked.
Yeah. And save his legs a bit. So he's played every game,
every minute, so he could probably do with a break. Do you think that sort of period of self-isolation will have affected Mount at all? Because there's got to be that feeling that you're at the tournament and you've missed out a little bit.
I think in a positive way, because I think he'll feel like relieved that he's out of there and it's a second chance kind of thing. But I think, again, it's forced him to have a rest. He's played in the Champions League final. He's had a long season. It's forced him to have a bit of rest, but keeping up on his fitness, basic fitness work. So I think that could be a positive as well. And then if he goes in and plays really well, then Gareth's got really big problems to pick the semi-final team.
Yeah, and
do you think he'll be back in?
I think if Trippier's at the team, Mason might find himself in the team for the set pieces, because I think Trippier's delivery was much improved on the previous 3 games. No, Mason took the corners and the free kicks in the first game. It didn't quite go well, but I've seen him at Chelsea. He's got lovely delivery, lovely right foot. So I think Phillips and Trippier might come out the team, play a little bit more open, a bit more expansive, because you've got to believe that we'll control the ball against Ukraine. They can't threaten us in behind.
No, so we'll press them. So we'll have the ball back.
We'll have the ball back, and you want your technicians, Mount and Grealish, in that particular game. Or Gareth might go, I'm not changing a winning formula.
I think he'll change it, just especially for the bookings.
With the bookings,
and with Trippier. If he's got a knock, he'll rest him.
He's got to have,
because we've got loads of right backs, haven't we? Let's get it right.
He's got to have confidence in his convictions now, Trev, because when you've made changes which were against the grain of so many people and it's worked, you've got to be having yourself. Yeah. So Gareth's got to be thinking,
but he won't.
Not having himself, but confident, I mean.
Yeah, in your belief.
In his own instincts.
And the decisions that you make. He will be. And, like I say, I think he's made the great changes at the right times.
Well, your Coral odds, England 4-9 favourites to win the match. Ukraine 15-4 to qualify to the semis. And if you think Trippier will get an assist and Kane will have 5 shots or more, Coral will give you odds of 7-1. It's time now, though, Trevor, for What Really Happens. This is where we go back to a moment in your career that we want to know more about. And we're going to take you back to 2002 to the World Cup quarter-final against Brazil. What was it like in the dressing room leading up to that game?
Oh, it was amazing. Because our knockout game against Denmark, it was pouring with rain in the evening and we won the game 3-0. And I'm thinking, I'm in the quarterfinals of the World Cup. I haven't even been in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. And I'm thinking, am I out my depth? Am I kidding myself here? But there was so much excitement. The lads were buzzing. We really believed the game plan that we set out to play against Brazil was right. Play with Smeichel up top on his own. Be nice and difficult to beat, difficult to create chances against and hit them on the counter-attack. And the first half was going perfectly well. We were nullifying them quite a lot. And then we were looking quite dangerous on the counter-attack. And then Smeichel scored that goal in the first half. And I'm thinking, oh my God, what is going on here?
What's happening?
And then obviously going towards the end of that first half, we give the ball away. They went and scored on us on like a counter attack. And I always remember, I don't know if you remember this, but when he scored the goal and he took his blue, because they played in blue, he took his blue shirt off and he had like a banana yellow vest on, the same colour as the yellow, obviously Brazilian shirt. And I always think, is that the moment that this game has changed? And obviously second half, Ronaldinho scored that worldies, fluke, whatever you want to call it.
Did he mean it?
I think you've got to take him for face value. Although he is a bit of a joker. He can't have meant it. I don't think he meant it. Yeah, I don't think he meant it. It's just one of them
Disrespect
things.
to David Seaman if he meant it.
Yeah, exactly. I think it was just one of them where it was in the stars. You know, it's no disgrace going against the eventual champions, and especially when it's Brazil.
There's so many legends in that team, weren't there?
I mean, the forward line was a joke in itself, and you know, I thought our back four dealt with them really well, because if you look at the goals, the first goal, it was a decent finish by Rivaldo, but that was really their only big chance. But when they went down to 10 men, I thought, this is our chance. I got brought off at that time, fresh legs. It was absolutely roasting in Japan. And they play key ball. We couldn't get the ball off them. And it just shows their technical ability and bravery to get in on angles for each other, bravery in a one-on-one situation. 10 men, you'll get pressed, dropping a shoulder, going past our players, and we just couldn't get the ball off. And it just wasn't meant to be. But the lads give it a good go, didn't they?
Yeah, you talk about, because I was on the bench, and you talk about moments, and that Michael done his hamstring after he scored, didn't he? So he was such a catalyst for everything we'd done, like he's running off the shoulder of people. So like things like that.
You need the look, don't you? You need the look.
If Michael don't pull his hamstring in that game, and we keep him on the pitch, because I remember he was causing them trouble. His movement, we was dropped off into a nice block, similar to what Gareth's doing. Yeah. And I was like, Trev, I thought, we're going to do this. This is going to be incredible. And Trev was very, very good that day. And I think as well, having Barty and Scholesy in the midfield in that heat, the two fair-headed chaps, I think second half, they died a death.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it?
Two great players, and they were brilliant. So, and then the Brazilians, I think they was ahead of us tactically. Because thinking about that game now, when they're down to 10 men, they're still keeping the ball. Like I said, the angles and the players' responsibility. Juninho was getting on it, like Gilberto Silva, getting on the ball, moving it. I think tactically, they was ahead of us. I don't think that's the case.
I think technically as well.
And technically.
Yeah, because you talk about defenders being able to handle the ball. All their players could handle the ball. And they needed to, because we did try and press them, but they were so competent in possession. And, just them situations where you've worked hard to get them into a little corner and then they drop a shoulder. And you're talking about a centre-half dropping a shoulder and going past you. We didn't really have players like that then. We have players like that now. You see John Stones do that many a time.
Yeah. Harry Maguire as well.
Yeah, exactly. So, we have, I think, the EPPP with our academy systems and the way that we're developing players now, technically, tactically, physically. I think we're right up there. And you look at the England teams, the young teams winning like the World Cup with Foden and the 20s, and we're starting to get success at them younger levels. Gareth's been there, he knows the players coming through. I think it's the perfect mould at the minute.
Imagine that's not the sort of game either that you need much motivation for, but what were Sven's team talks like? I can't imagine that they're very inspiring.
No,
I can't imagine like Braveheart.
No, exactly. And I put something out there the other day, maybe we should get like an actor to go in and give an inspirational speech, like an English actor, to go in and give a real like...
Who would you have?
Well, I said Ray Winston. We know Ray well. He's a big...
Well, we did it.
Yeah.
The 2006.
No, I went there. So
2006, Ray done a speech, and we watched it on the thing before. I think it was the Ecuador game, second round. We won, and it was it was good. It was amazing.
Because they're so good.
Yeah.
And obviously with words and with emotions, and I can't see Gareth being that rip roaring. So that's why I said maybe we need a little something like that just to go in there, because I think that's what we needed under Sven.
At times,
Sven was everyone respected Sven. He was a real gentleman. He was a scholar of the game. He would teach it, he'd make sure we knew exactly individually, collectively, where we needed to be in and out of possession. But you're just missing that little bit of passion. And I don't make going out there smashing people and being overexcited, but sometimes you just need that, to realise what is on your shoulders. Like the nation. Absolutely, so much behind you.
Yeah.
So sometimes you do need, and maybe we need a little bit of something like that with
for me, sorry, Trev. For me, like one day I'll go into management, and I think my thing is with management. I think every one of the players looking back at you when you're a coach or a manager, at some point in their life, you need to connect with them as a child that wanted to be in this moment playing for England. Connect with that.
Remember your journey,
Remember, if you can do that, it's crucial moments, because we all sleep a little bit on it, and then for whatever reason, second round, quarterfinal of a World Cup, it's not happening, and sometimes you just need to realise that it's just football, but you've wanted this since you was a kid, and just to inspire and to move and to get them going. So yeah, there will be a moment where Gareth might have to do that with his group of players, and I think he's capable of doing that. I think there's a side to Gareth that we know where he's a tough man. He's a tough man.
Because that was that really nice moment at the end with Harry Kane where he sort of stopped talking in the interview, and he clearly just wanted to soak up the atmosphere and listen to the fans singing and just
there. I think he was
take the moment in.
He had a big gulp in his throat, and he couldn't speak because he would have let out a little bit of. He would have, shown us a little bit. So he just had to suck it up for a minute, and just take that moment in. Because if he would have tried, it would have been a blubbering mess. So that was lovely to see. It was really. But again, I go back to Gareth when we scored the second goal, and I think it's Jordan Henderson grabbed him.
Yeah, he did.
But then afterwards, there's a split second where he just looked so vulnerable, but so proud of what he's achieving, and I think everyone noticed that.
Did you notice the thing where he was doing an interview and he saw talk about David Seaman in the Royal Box, and he said he don't let his guard down a lot, Gareth, but it was quite poignant and quite emotional, because he said, look, I saw David in there, you know what I mean, and he said, I can't. He obviously carries the burden of missing the penalty.
Of course
in 96,
he does, yeah.
And he said, I can't take away that pain. Do you know what I mean? So. He's seen David Seaman, his mate, and straight away he's gone back to Euro 96 in his mind, and he feels that guilt, which is absurd because players miss penalties, he didn't mean to, but he feels that, so he carries that, Gareth, and I thought that was his redemption moment, like Stuart Pearce's was in '96 for himself, but I think for the whole country, the redemption moment is going to be lifting that trophy, because we've had the whole 2 generations of not seeing us win. And football means so much. But Gareth was clearly moved after the game.
And every player who played in that game will just be so proud of it.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm proud of him, just playing with him when we was in the England squad together. I'm sure you're the same. And, he carried himself well. I think he's been fantastic on the human rights to do with Black Lives Matters and boys taking the knee. He's been very supportive of the players. Because, you look at the squad, I don't know, half or just less than half of the lads are black and mixed race. So, he should do that as well, but he's always been great on things like that.
Yeah, but he shouldn't do it just because the lads. He does it because it's the right thing to do anyway.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Same with the rainbow armband. This is not political. These are human rights issues. So I'm really proud of the whole group. The manager all the way down to the players.
A matter of time before he's Sir Gareth.
Well, if he wins the trophy, it's got to happen.
Listen,
it's not in doubt.
Imagine it being in that shoes where you get the night. Imagine being down the pub, lads, your mates like speak to you. Do you want a pint, Joe? Sir Joe. Imagine. It'd be unbearable. Don't ever give me a night. I'll be unbearable. It'd be too much.
Right, Trevor, let's get some quarter-final predictions from you. What's your prediction for the first quarter-final, Switzerland against Spain?
I think I've been impressed by Switzerland, but I just feel with Morata, he's had a really difficult time when he was over in England. He's had a few difficult times. Even his wife and his kids were getting abused when they were going to a game in this tournament. Yeah. But for me, the performance that he put on in the game against Croatia was outstanding. His hold-up play for number 9. He'd hold the ball up, play the way he was facing, get himself in the office. He got his goal. And the way that they play, I've been impressed with Eric Garcia. Didn't play a lot for Manchester City. He'd never been overawed by him. But it looks like he's taken them, taking that position at the heart of the defence for Spain and done really well. And I mentioned him before, Pedri, the young 18-year-old, what a player he is. So I'm going to go with Spain. I'm going to go with Spain with just a narrow victory.
Joe?
I'm going to go with Spain. A bit more convincing than Trev. I think it'll be one of the routine quarterfinals. I think Spain will. I've been impressed with them.
And what a game tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. Belgium against Italy. What's going to happen in that one?
Well, Belgium are quality. You talk about Kevin De Bruyne, Lukaku. Eden Hazard looks a little bit fitter, but
his brother looks
I know,
brilliant.
He's done really well. But I think two of them are injured, aren't they? So Kevin De Bruyne has got an injury, and so has Eden Hazard. Yeah. And I think it'll be too much for them. I really do. I think Italy, the way they kicked off the tournament, Andrea Bocelli. I went to see him in 2004 when me and my wife was pregnant with Kobe and crying. He's so brave. Obviously, he can't see, goes out into the middle of the pitch and he's singing his heart out for the whole
Gives
stadium. Oh, amazing. Yeah. What an opener, what an opening ceremony. So they started really well. They've looked really good under Roberto Mancini. Yeah, I'm going to go with them. I'm going to say that they're going to beat Belgium.
Yeah. No, I've seen Italy. I went to watch the game against Austria, and they'll take some beating. So I can see. Not only can I see this, I'm going to predict an England-Italy final.
Whoa!
So I think,
You're getting ahead of yourself.
That's the difference between me and you, Lynn. You're half empty. I'm half full.
But
right?
I've bet on Italy to win the whole thing, so that's going to be difficult for me.
Win-win, don't you? You win either way.
Win. Done. No, so Italy will dispatch Belgium. They can't win the game without Eden and Kevin De Bruyne. I think there's still holes in their team. I think Alderweireld or Vertonghen, and I think at the wrong side of their career. I think the young Italian teams will run all over them. I think Italy will win as well, comfortable.
And you know what Italy have been through. Obviously, the epicenter of coronavirus when it first started, they were brutally ravaged by the disease. And I remember speaking to Paolo a few times. So it was so tough. And I think this tournament's come at the right time for them. And
missing out at the World Cup as well. To come back from that.
I think the nation, everything's riding on this team, and I think the players know the responsibility, but they've got a manager there who's got lots of experience, very passionate, won everything in the game. Yeah, I really do feel they'll get there.
Best looking management team in the tournament? It's got to be it.
Vialli, look at it.
Most stylish,
wait a minute, what about their suits? I looked at ours. Ours haven't even got the 3 lions on them we used to get.
I know.
Ours look like they're from Burton's. No disrespect whoever's organised them, but and no disrespect to Burton's because they're a good suit. But
you've said it now.
Yeah, ours looks like bang average, and then they look absolutely.
It's how you wear it.
The geese with a tash. We need to find out who he is. With a tash like Mario. He's some guy, and mate. He just looks like he's just about to. He should be watching the game with a double espresso, and a tactics board like that.
And every match matters with Coral as well. So, what are your thoughts on the Czech Republic, Denmark, of course, who could potentially be England's semi-final opponents?
Yeah, obviously Denmark. You know, I think everyone's got a soft spot for them after what happened with Christian Eriksen. My boot boy, Kasper Smeichel, who's my boot boy at Manchester City. I'm so proud of what he's achieved in the game. They've got spirit. They've got momentum. They'll be difficult to stop. But I just think this Czech side, they're a special team. They've got that special camaraderie as well. It's a difficult one for me to call this. I'm going to go Denmark. I think Denmark will do him.
Who are we going to play then, Joe, on route to this final with Italy?
I think Denmark. I believe there's a swell of good feeling for the team, and rightly so. I'm going to go Denmark. Did you give Kasper a drink at Christmas for the boot boys?
Oh yeah. A few hundred quid.
He weren't going to be struggling with his old man though, was he? Do you know what I mean?
No. But you know one thing about Kasper, like some of the players thought he was a little bit too full of himself, but he's one of them goalies, and you'll appreciate this, Joe, where when you're doing shooting practices, like J-Mo was a bit older then, so J-Mo would save the first one, and then if you do it at match tempo, the ball should still be alive if it's in play to finish, and the goalkeeper react to that.
Yeah.
Kasper used to do what? So he'd make the first save, and then he'd try his nuts off to save the second shot. And for a forward, that keeps it realistic.
Yeah,
it keeps it honest, and some of the other goalkeepers never used to do that, but Kasper did, and you always thought, his dad's taught him well. He's got a real good way about him as a goalkeeper, and to see what he's gone on to achieve in the game, lovely lad, fantastic personality, and he's been through a lot as well. So really proud of what he's achieved in the game. Yeah.
And finally, England, Ukraine, Saturday night, 8:00. What's the score going to be?
Wallop! I think we'll destroy them. I really do. I don't think they've got enough for us. Yeah, I think we'll. Yeah, I really do.
Maybe this will be the 5-0 one, Joel.
Yeah, I think it could be. I mentioned the Denmark game where we kind of just too strong for Denmark in that last 16 knockout game back in 2000. I think we'll be too strong for the Ukraine. Yeah. I don't think they've got the threat, the pace in behind to threaten us, so we can squeeze high, dominate the ball, and I think I can see Harry getting a couple or 3 goals in that game.
4-1 England. I prefer to concede a goal in this game. I think the semi-final against Denmark. I know we're getting so far ahead of ourselves, but listen, we're England, like we're English, exactly.
I think they've only kept 1 clean sheet in their last 16 games or something as well. So
we'll win this game. We'll win this game, but don't be surprised if there's a little sweat, like if they get the first goal or something like that on a counter-attack, just to put us in our box a little bit, me included. I'm firmly gone. I'm all over it now, but 4-1 England.
Hope you're right. Well, Morata to score at any time and get an assist against Switzerland with Coral is 14-1. Lukaku is 11-1 to score 2 goals or more against Italy. The Czech Republic and Denmark are 10-1 to win on penalties. And if you think Raheem Sterling will score first and England beat the Ukraine 3-0, Coral will give you odds of 22-1. Trevor, thank you so much.
Thanks, Lynsey.
Lovely to see you. Enjoy the game on Saturday.
I will.
Enjoy it, and Joe will be chatting afterwards. You'll be fresh off the pitch, so we might be celebrating 2 wins.
Yeah, my Sunday team are playing. Boys, getting them up and running. I've looked at them on. I've looked on the pictures of them. They've let themselves go since our title winning. There's going to be some heavy legs on Sunday. I'm expecting 3 hamstring injuries at least. But we'll have a good time. Straight off the pitch, England win Saturday night. The lads, Colbert Royals win Sunday.
Yeah.
And then we'll have a lovely chat on Sunday.
We'll be chatting afterwards. Back on the All to Play For podcast, we'll have all the reaction and analysis after England's quarter-final against Ukraine. You can find that on the Joe YouTube channel or wherever you find your podcasts. You've been listening to the All to Play For podcast, brought to you by Joe and Coral.
You've been watching All to Play For, brought to you by Joe and Coral.